It told me a few things. Most importantly, that they're capable of beating anybody.
Anybody.
They're capable of beating anybody. We started to have our doubts about the Los Angeles Rams, understandably so. They had lost 3 consecutive games. We were wondering, is it Matthew Stafford's fault? Remember, Stafford 0-3 in the playoffs. Stafford couldn't get right with the Lions, but we blamed the Lions. We blamed the Detroit Lions organization's coaching, lack of running game. But then all of a sudden, Stafford partnered up with Sean McVay, and once again, the Rams were struggling. So now, Stafford, it was abundantly clear, it's on you, big dog. But wait a second. Stafford, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Odell Beckham, another touchdown. Aaron Donald, 3 sacks. Von Miller, several tackles, several pressures, and we finally saw all the stars align, literally speaking. I think the Rams are now showing the world we are Super Bowl contenders. Okay. We're capable of beating anybody, and we are here to stay. I had Sell at the beginning of the season, Rams, Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
You said beginning of the season, right? Because that changed by week 2, week 4, week 8.
You know me, I stick to my guns.
You say it.
Stick to my guns.
You say it less. That's your gun?
I say it much
You
less.
hiding the gun.
But it's starting to appear that, wait a second, the Rams should be mentioned in the same conversation as the Bucs. The Rams should be mentioned in the same conversation as the Packers, and the Rams can be mentioned in the same conversation as any team in the AFC. But what did the Rams' performance tell me? It also told me that the Cardinals can't be all that. Why, Sel? Because we put the Cardinals top tier because the Cardinals had the best record in football. That's what we did all season long. Yeah. But after watching the Cardinals lose to the Rams, I realized, what's the Cardinals' biggest win all season? Their biggest win is against the team that just beat them. Yeah. Outside of beating the Rams, the Cardinals' biggest win all season was week 1. Against the Tennessee Titans. So, wait a second. Not only did the Rams prove that they are legitimate, they also showed the world that the Cardinals might not be as good as we think they are. They might not be as good as we tried to give them credit for. Now, the only reason we're saying that is because the Cardinals had the best record in football. Right. So maybe they are just not the best team in football. So the Rams' performance told me 2 things. The Cardinals are not the best team in football, and their record might be a little bit deceiving. But more importantly, it also told me that the Rams are Super Bowl contenders.
Okay. I'm in there somewhere, and I'm going to tell you where exactly. What I saw from the Rams last night, it told me that the best version of the Rams is not good enough to beat the best teams in the NFL. So that's where we differ. They can't beat anybody. They could be most teams. They could be most of y'all out there, but they can't beat everybody. Let me just piggyback off your point. Beating the Arizona Cardinals, which I don't think is a tier 1 team because of the question marks of what would they look like in the postseason, Kyler Murray, Cliff Kingsbury, etc. And what we saw last night makes you wonder, how much should we give the Rams credit in the win over those same Cardinals? But that's not my initial point. My initial point is, God, those Rams, those Hollywood stars were shining yesterday, even on the road. But then, is that good enough to be top level, top tier? When you see Matthew Stafford have the game he had, when you see Cooper Kupp go out there and have a season high in receptions, when you see Odell Beckham have a season high in receptions, when you see Aaron Donald have a season high in sacks, and y'all still munching on y'all cuticles with no time remaining, hoping to make sure you win that game? A nail-biter against a team that's not top elite? Oh, we made the same point. I just said it better. Here's the thing. These Rams are, when were they top tier? Preseason ranking, expectations, Matthew Stafford combined with Sean McVay, amazing, yes. Oh, after they beat Tampa Bay. Well, if we're going to go that far back, let's just also go as far back as when they got handled, chokehold by the Green Bay Packers midfield. Let's go back as far as when they lost to Tennessee without Derrick Henry. You start to look at this team in the film cycle of the last 4 games. They're 2-2. They're not even a winning team. You start looking at this team, you go a little farther back, they're 2-3. After the bye week, we were saying, what's going to happen? Oh, they beat Jacksonville. What does that do for you? Nothing. Oh, they beat Arizona. What does that do for you? Something, but not everything. It tells me that this team is close, but this best version of the Rams that we saw last night, still not good enough to beat the best teams.
I'm confused, Sel. I'm confused how you would think so. We're going to talk more about this later, so I'm not going to spoil the show for y'all. But we know the Bucs are legitimate. You've been claiming the Bucs are legitimate.
Oh, yeah.
I've been claiming the Bucs are legitimate since last year. At the point in which you win the Super Bowl and you return all 22 starters, and we know you good. The Rams have beat the Bucs, who we know are legitimate by talent. The Rams have now also beaten the Cardinals, who we're not sure are legitimate by talent, but we know are legitimate by record, right? In the NFL, it's two things, right? Either we know you legit by your talent or we know you legit by your record. Some teams, their record is a little bit deceiving, good or bad. Some teams' record doesn't match as good as they are. Some teams' record is exaggerating how good they actually might be. So the Rams have beaten a great team in the Bucs by talent and a great team in the Cardinals by record. Thus, to me, they are a great team. I'm not going to say they are the greatest team, but if the Rams lost to the Packers, right, the Rams' most deafening loss is to that Packers team.
Or Tennessee.
And NFC. You could really argue that Niners.
We got options, though.
We do have
and that's a problem. That's a problem.
But you lose by one possession to the Packers in Green Bay. I'm like, Sal, I can tolerate that, right? We talk about that Tennessee or that Niners or that Packers loss. Really, I'm looking at they were trying to figure out how are you going to utilize all these stars. You know what it is. If you get some sort of organ transplant, there comes a point in time where your body might reject that transplant. Or if it doesn't reject that transplant, there is an adjustment period of the body. Well, Von Miller, Odell Beckham, those are huge organ transplants now. Odell Beckham, a megastar, Hall of Fame by talent. Von Miller, Hall of Fame certified by production. So you got two major organs you're trying to transplant into the body of the Rams. It is no surprise that it was an adjustment period against the 49ers. No surprise it was an adjustment period against the Green Bay Packers. But now that performance yesterday told me these dudes are bona fide, big dog. Because when the Cardinals beat the Rams early on in the season, we said, wait, Cardinals are legit. But we said the Cardinals were legit because they beat the Rams. So that implied that we knew the Rams were legit. So if the Rams were legit because the Cardinals beat them, and the Rams have now beaten the Cardinals, who we gave legitimacy because the Cardinals once upon a time beat the Rams, then we cannot now deny the Rams' legitimacy. We knew the Rams were legit back then, and now the Rams have confirmed they're legit by their performance last night.
Oh, I see why you're confused. I respect that because you said two different things in two different laps. The first take, you were like, Arizona ain't all that. They ain't tier one. And I was like, yeah, I agree. Then the second one, you was like, we got to use Arizona to prop up the Rams.
I didn't say they're not
tier one. Well, they're tier one now, bottom of tier one.
Agreed.
Right? Okay, that's fine. I don't think you said that, but we're going to use them now to prop up the Rams? You can't do that because if in a series between these two teams, they play two games, obviously. And even though you say it's 1-1, it's not a tie. Arizona mollywopped the Rams when they beat them. And then when the Rams beat them, let's just say we were just sitting there saying, let's hope at the end of the game, even though it felt like the Rams had control for a lot of that game. So it's not the same. So we got to look at the complexion of the games to really get to it. Let's look deeper into the complexion of those games, shall we? Rams stars shined. Did they not? Cooper Kupp, yep. OBJ, yep. Sony Michel even looked good, yep. Matthew Stafford, obviously. On the other side of the ball, yeah, we saw my boy Aaron Donald balling out. Best he's looked this year. Okay. Let's go to the other side just to see if we win against the Arizona Cardinals or we just win against their uniforms and their colors because the players weren't really in there. That's when you have trouble. And I know that a lot of this is forced by what your opponent is doing and dictating. But Kyler Murray, did you have your second lowest passer rating of the season? Were you sacked the most you were sacked this year? Was James Conner held to his fewest since week 8 in yards? Was DeAndre Hopkins held to his season worst? Yeah, catch percentage. I respect all that. That means the Rams out there dictating turns. But now when we talk about a season where you won one, we won one, we beat you more than you beat us, but we didn't show up. Now what's going to happen? All I'm doing is projecting. What I saw from the Rams last night tells me that in a forecast of who the Rams really are, their best version, just not good enough.
I vehemently disagree.
I respect it.
Number one, the Rams did handle that game yesterday. The score is not indicative of who dominated that game, the entirety of that game.
Just like the Green Bay one wasn't indicative of how the Rams.
Sure.
But you bring up one possession.
I'll give you that.
All right, respect.
But the Rams did dominate that game yesterday.
Respect.
Furthermore, we got to remember the Rams played without all-pro cornerback Jalen Ramsey.
Oh, yeah.
Like we
Facts.
10 minutes into the show, and we haven't even mentioned the fact that Ramsey didn't play, and Tyler Higbee, the Rams' second best receiving option as it stands right now. Odell is probably ascending that ladder.
Yeah.
Tyler Higbee also didn't play.
Right.
So the Rams went to Arizona, dominated that game without an all-pro cornerback and a Pro Bowl caliber tight end. That, to me, is domination. Furthermore, I don't look at it like, well, we beat you worse than y'all beat us. A win is a win. Cardinals, mollywop.
Not say that.
Mollywop.
Do not come up here and be an analyst. Do not say a win is a win.
A win is
what?
A win
if I beat you by 45 and I beat you by 1, you saying they're the same?
A win is a win in the sense that how many times have we seen it in several sports? NBA playoffs or NFL playoffs, NBA regular season, NFL regular season.
You got evidence.
We might see the Warriors get blown out by 25 against the Cavs. And then the next game they blow the Cavs out by 25. At the end of the day, a win is a win when it comes down to two teams playing each other neck and neck. The Rams have shown they can beat the Bucks. They've shown they can beat the Cardinals. They haven't shown they can beat the Packers. But if you can beat the Bucks and you can beat the Cardinals, and tier one in my mind of the NFC is Packers, Bucks, Cardinals, Rams. The Rams are one of those teams. They make up a quarter of it, and they've beaten the other 2 quarters of it. So that's 75% of tier one in my mind. Only team the Rams haven't shown that they can beat is the Packers, and I would attribute that more so to trying to figure out where does Odell Beckham fall in line in the team, but also you got to go to Green Bay. Vegas in and of itself says traveling from one coast to another is worth 3 points. So you got to go to Green Bay. To me, the Rams are capable of beating anybody. Will they beat anybody? No, but it's all about, are you capable of doing it? And if you're capable of doing it, I got faith in you.
See, this is why I don't have that faith. But look, I'm not going to argue what you believe. I'm just arguing what you're seeing and making your projections off of. But believe what you want to believe. The Rams allowed the most yards in the game since the last time they played the Cardinals. So I know Jalen Ramsey wasn't there, but last time he was there, they still allowed a ton of yards. What does that mean? Well, time of possession still went to the Cardinals. All the yards went to the Cardinals, and the Cardinals didn't play their game. What does that tell me? You look at the Rams and you say, what do I hang my hat on? Well, I don't hang my hat on the running game. Why? Because they were held to under 100 yards once again, 4 out of the last 5 games. Oh, I hang my hat on this passing game. And this is where I'm coming in for the kill. You know, if you go out there and say Cooper Kupp, that's the best receiver in the league this year, receptions leader, right? And Cooper Kupp being our receptions leader is going to lead us to the promised land. Now, we know wide receivers, outside of Jerry Rice, Michael Irvin, when are they leading you to the promised land? When are they leading you to hoisting a Lombardi trophy? Matter of fact, if you are the receptions leader, how about this for some fun facts? You know the last time a receptions leader won a Super Bowl? You got to go back to 1983, Todd Christensen, L.A. Raiders. That means that this whole Cooper Kupp, Matthew Stafford connection is great, but I think we're advertising it as it's going to make this team get over the hump. You don't get over the hump with a receptions leader. You get over the hump by playing stout defense. You get over the hump by running the football. And you get over the hump by being able to deal with adversity and conditions like traveling to Green Bay. The point being, I give you the Rams. They look good. They L.A. They sizzle. But when it comes to that deep substance that we look for in the playoffs and the teams that really get over the hump, don't see it yet.
What's interesting, though, is the Rams they don't need to get over the hump. They're on top of it. Right? Like the Rams were in the Super Bowl 3 years ago. That's the hump. Like that's not getting over the hump. Like the Rams are already on the top of the hump.
They had a quarterback in that moment who had no playoff experience. And now they have a quarterback who's had playoff experience and in all those performances came up short. I'd rather the guy who hasn't had nothing on his resume, because then it's like, you know what? Let's see what you're about, Kyler Murray, versus the guy who every time I see you there, oh, man, for some reason, you're coming up short.
Not if you have a different coach. Not if you have a coach that's well-versed. Like, give me experience. No, I mean, NFL history shows us, give me failed experience over no experience. Peyton Manning failed experience. Patrick Mahomes failed experience. Tom Brady was an experience, no failed experience, but he was sitting behind Bledsoe.
He had nothing. He just went and did it.
But give me take that to my experience point. Like a Ben Roethlisberger over no experience. I think NFL history in totality will show us that. But I don't think the Rams win a Super Bowl through Cooper Kupp. I think the Rams win a Super Bowl through their offense. At the point in which last night...
But how? How through the offense if the running game's not there? Not to the level you want it. And if you're not going to run it through Cooper Kupp, what, OBJ?
I think the trifecta, right? If you look at the recipe for the Chiefs, the year the Chiefs beat the Niners, it wasn't just Tyreek. It wasn't just Travis Kelce, and it surely wasn't the running backs. It was a combination of Tyreek, Travis Kelce, Sammy Watkins, plus a little running game sprinkled in. If Sony Michel does what he did last night, and he ain't even need to do that much, but if he gives them 50 to 75 yards, that's going to be cool. If Odell Beckham, Van Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, Tyler Higbee collectively contribute, realistically, offensively and defensively, the Rams probably have the best roster in the National Football League. They might not have the most depth, but they have the best roster. Why? Because they have the best defensive player on any given Sunday, maybe the two best defensive players on any given Sunday. Cowboys have Parsons. Rams have Donald and Ramsey. Browns have Miles. Rams have Darnold and Ramsey. Steelers have what? Rams still have Donald and Ramsey. Then on any given Sunday, they have the most talented quarterback as far as arm talent. That you saw that incredible throw Justin Herbert made on Sunday. You were there. You witnessed it. That throw Matthew Stafford made, I would rival with that throw that Justin Herbert made. Plus, receiving core, Odell, Van, Kupp, and Higbee, I think that can rival the Bucs, that can rival the Cowboys. So any given Sunday, Rams have the most talent or just as talented. What's holding them back, Stafford?
What's holding them back is the fact that you just changed the way that they're going to have to attack it in the postseason because Cooper Kupp is getting them through in the regular season. What's holding them back is everything that you just added up. I know you don't drink, but you just basically gave me a Long Island. And, boy, it's a little bit of this, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Not necessarily the best tasting, but it's going to hit you. That's the problem. The Rams are going to try and reconfigure all this, and it's going to hit them. Some teams out there, New England, some teams out there, Green Bay, some teams out there, Tampa Bay, knows their style, already has let that concrete harden. And then when that meets you in the postseason, the Rams are going to be lit. Not the good way, though.